76ers Media Day is here, and Philadelphia has also signed a player. All of that is coming up right now on today's 76ers Now. But because Media Day is here, and you see Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey, the Sixers' new big three together in uniform, we have to ask you this. Are you excited for the 76ers upcoming season? I am. Chip is. I hope you are as well. And if that's the case, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and with that, let's talk some Sixers right now because there's a lot to get into. Happy Monday. Welcome into the show. Hope all of you had a great weekend and your weeks are off to a phenomenal start. Two topics that we want to hit today. 76ers signing Isaiah Mobley, the brother of Evan Mobley. Yes, they look very similar. And we also have some takeaways from 76ers Media Day today, which took place in Camden at the practice facility. Let's begin with this from Tim Bontemps of ESPN. As Media Day is about to get underway in Philadelphia, the 76ers will be signing Isaiah Mobley to an Exhibit 10 deal. Turned 25 last week, 49th pick in the 2022 NBA draft by Cleveland. Spent the past 2 years with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I know a lot of people have been clamoring and asking for Daryl Morey to bring in some size. Isaiah Mobley certainly gives Philadelphia some size. Does he have the game to give Philadelphia? Not really in his career so far. He's only played 22 games, 2.5 points per game, a rebound and a half, and his field goal number is 42+%. His brother Evan Mobley got a bag not long ago from Cleveland, has developed into a really good two-way player. They played with one another at USC, but the path has not been as successful as far as his NBA career for Isaiah Mobley. He's probably going to play a lot for the Delaware Bluecoats in the G League, and his G League numbers in 30 games played, pretty good. And I feel like anytime we talk about a player who has G League production, that production is also pretty solid. 18 points per game, nearly 9 boards, just under 4 assists, 47.5% from the field, 36.5% from three-point range. And when you bring a player like this in and he signs that Exhibit 10 deal, it's not really a move for your NBA roster. Mobley will likely spend the season with the Delaware Bluecoats, and maybe he'll get called up occasionally to play at the NBA level for Philadelphia. So there's that signing for the Sixers, and now to the meat and potatoes of today's show. 76ers Media Day just wrapped up a little while ago on this Monday morning, and we just want to pass along some takeaways from what went down, what was said, and what we can look forward to for Philadelphia here. There was obviously a big focus on Joel Embiid's health. He just signed that contract extension. He's getting that max deal from Philadelphia. Josh Harris has not been shy in spending big-time dollars on Maxey, George, and Embiid. But for an older big with an injury history, it's obviously a huge risk when you also factor in that traditionally bigs who have injury problems don't always age all that well. Nick Nurse on Joel Embiid said the 76ers will be smart on how they manage Joel Embiid with the focus on April, May, and June. Historically, Nick Nurse has been known to be a coach who plays his starters a lot. Now, I think sometimes that's overstated because he did have to coach Kawhi Leonard, and he was malleable with that approach. But with Embiid, Chip and I have talked about this, it's all about April, May, and June. And I know that Embiid has really wanted to play in the regular season before to prove his durability. You already won an MVP. You've been a multi-time All-Star. What you next want to knock off your resume is making a deep run in the NBA playoffs. And that's what it comes down to. Daryl Morey says we have a plan to keep Embiid healthy. I imagine that's him managing minutes night in, night out. I imagine that's Embiid not playing a lot on the back end or the front end of some back-to-backs. And what's fascinating here, I think this is a few years too late, but it's a good job by Embiid to approach the offseason in this manner. He says he lost 25 to 30 pounds. He's doing well physically, but not fully where he wants to be. Expects to be held back to start the year with the focus on the postseason. And I think that's the right play for Philadelphia here because you have this tremendous roster with a lot of depth, and Embiid has been snake bitten in the NBA playoffs when it comes to him staying healthy. And I think Embiid recognizes this. We've recognized this here on the show. Because you have such a talented team, Embiid knows and is cognizant of this, that new teammates can take more of the offensive load off of his shoulders so he doesn't need to do as much night in and night out. It's part of the beauty of what Philadelphia has done this offseason. So with that, let's pop up this poll question. Your confidence level in the 76ers to keep Embiid healthy. Scale it for me from 1 to 10. We can next shift gears to Tyrese Maxey. Maxey continues to improve, and throughout this offseason, we saw so many clips of him being in the lab, and I know that we've been fooled by Ben Simmons before, but with Tyrese Maxey, unlike Ben Simmons, we have seen these improvements take place. And Maxey this offseason had 3 to 4 bullet points in areas to get better. He worked on his body, worked on his endurance. He's been a very durable player who can run around like a jackrabbit. But now I think even more is going to be asked of him with the older George and older Embiid on this team. They're saying that Maxey will take another step this year, and there's no limit on how good he can become. And I agree. He could score from all 3 levels. He has range for days. He can get to the cup. He's just a phenomenal player. And then Nick Nurse on Paul George said he's excited to see how versatile Paul George can be, how he can handle the basketball, post him up, and always keep him moving. And I have a lot of trust in Nick Nurse that he's going to find a way to make this big 3 work, to make the fit work. And it's clear that Paul George is fired up to be in Philadelphia. How are you not? When you look to your left, you see Joel Embiid. You look to your right, you see Tyrese Maxey. You see a coach who can maximize you, but you also see some depth pieces as well. Speaking of Paul George, if you want his jersey, you can get it now, chatsports.com/Paul George. Plenty of other options available as far as Sixers jerseys go. So we'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. Paul George rocking the number 8 to pay homage to Kobe Bryant, and hopefully he plays a little bit better than C.J. Gardner-Johnson for the Eagles to start the year, who also is wearing the number 8 to pay homage to Kobe Bryant. Kelly Oubre expects to be more consistent from 3. Now, I'm going to kind of go cap on this and call cap on this. Kelly Oubre has never been a good three-point shooter. So what is going to change? More open looks? Yeah, maybe. But that's obviously what you want to hear, is that he expects to be more consistent from three-point range. Andre Drummond, I'm the best rebounder ever. Now, I have said here on this show he's the best rebounder of this generation. And I think that there's something to be said there. And Drummond knows that his role is to bring energy and force, but you're going to say that you're a better rebounder than, like, Dennis Rodman, Charles Barkley? Like, that's pretty lofty praise, but I appreciate the confidence there. Other takeaways, Kyle Lowry's role will be decreased. Older player on a roster with a lot more pieces. And I can see that being the case, and I'm fine with that. You don't need Lowry playing like 20-plus minutes a night. And for him to be okay with that, he's making a sacrifice for the team. Yabusele, going to impact the rotation. Adem Bona will spend time in the G League. A little bit of a raw player. KJ Martin has tried to work on his shot. And finally this year, going into this year, and it seems like every year for Philadelphia, there are always distractions. This year, not really any distractions. Really, the only thing for the Sixers, there's pressure because you have this loaded squad, but no distractions, no drama, and that's obviously fantastic. So, 76ers Media Day takeaways, Chip. What stood out? What do you make of all of this? What are you excited for? The floor is yours.
Yeah, it was just great to hear from some of the guys on the team with the new squad this year. It kind of almost feels like the first day of the new season in a way. Obviously, we still have training camp and preseason to get to, but we're only about, like a month away from the start of the season. Yeah. It's coming up very, very soon.
Crazy.
So it was just great to see everybody, in their new jerseys. Reggie Jackson was in full gear, head to toe. Had the headband, the goggles he wears, arm sleeve and everything. It was funny to see, but it was, again, great to hear from some of these guys. Obviously, Embiid and Maxey and Paul George, cool to hear from them, but I thought it was cool to hear from some of the other guys as well in the margins. Like, I really liked what Adem Bona had to say when he was talking. He didn't speak for long, but when he was talking, it was a lot of like, I know what I need to do. I know there's going to be, chances for me to play a little bit. He said the big thing for him as a young player is gaining the trust so that they know, if he's out there, they can trust him to be on the floor and not be a liability. Ricky Council talked about, improving his jump shot so that he cannot be a liability when he's out there on the floor. Obviously, we know what he can bring defensively, so if he can bring it offensively, that's good. McCain talked a little bit about how important it is to have guys like Maxey and Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry there to be able to mentor him. And one of the things he said, too, was like, coming to Duke out of high school, he was always kind of the man, highly touted recruit, was always expecting to play. Now it's like he's in a championship contender, not really going to be expecting to play. So how does he, play his role and get on the court? So it seems like he's very, aware. Him and Adam Boda, the rookies, know what they need to do and aren't trying to do too much right now. And then hearing from Yabusele as well, and Caleb Martin, who just talked about his fit in Philadelphia. He knows starting at the 4. We said on the show, not going to be a problem. He said, I've been doing it for a while. I've been guarding fours for a while. It's positionless basketball anyways. The same thing we've been talking about on the floor. So just a few more of the things that I heard that I wanted to relay. But it was, again, great to see the whole team together. There's just a great vibe around the team right now as a whole that, again, as you mentioned, Chase, hasn't really been there every single year. But it feels great. Everybody's clearly very excited. A lot of talk about having their sights set on making a deep run and being the best team they can be, and that would mean making a run at the championship. So the guys are excited. I'm excited. Hopefully you all are excited. You should be. And we're going to be with you every step of the way. But media day, solid day. It was a success, I'd say.
Yeah, it's always kind of that first step of, okay, the Sixers are nearing a return. The team is getting back together. Training camp starts October 1st, so tomorrow. And then before you know it, after a few preseason games, regular season going to be underway. What are you looking forward to the most with this new roster? And it is a new roster with a lot of new faces. Let us know what you think down below. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention this before we got on out of here. Rest in peace to 76ers legend Dikembe Mutombo, Defensive Player of the Year with Philadelphia, part of that 76ers team that made it to the 2001 NBA Finals. I'll never forget where I was when I learned that the Sixers had traded away Theo Ratliff for Dikembe Mutombo to pair him up with Allen Iverson. Unfortunately, he passed away way too early due to brain cancer, and Daryl Morey relayed that news during Sixers media today. And a man who always exuded positivity, stood for the right things, was a great basketball player, but a good person off the basketball floor as well, and he will be missed.